There's that really deep-seated human feeling, isn't there?
Yeah.
When danger pops up, we just want to retreat.
Oh, absolutely. Build walls, hunker down, seal everything off. It just feels safer.
It feels like the smartest thing to do, the ultimate protection.
It's almost like primal. This urge for a protective bubble when things feel hostile. You see it everywhere. People, groups, whole countries sometimes.
Yeah.
But what's really fascinating and kind of counterintuitive is how often that instinct can actually lead you right into the danger you're trying to avoid.
And that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're doing a deep dive into sources that really push back against that idea, showing how what feels like safety can actually be, well, your biggest vulnerability. Our mission today is to explore the wisdom behind Law 18. Do not build fortresses to protect yourself.
Yeah.
Isolation is dangerous.
And what really jumps out from these sources is this consistent warning. Isolation doesn't just fail to protect you, it actively makes you more vulnerable, often in ways you don't see coming.
It's strange when you first hear it, but the evidence stacks up.
It really does.
So we'll explore why getting out there, circulating, finding allies, mingling with people, why that might actually be the best shield you can have.
Yeah.
We've got some honestly surprising stories, powerful figures who just crumbled when they retreated, and others who totally thrived by staying connected.
And we'll also touch on that little exception when isolation might serve a purpose, but only a very specific temporary one.
Right. So get ready, because this could really shift your perspective on security, on power, and, just connection in general.
Because when you really look at the history at these accounts, you see that power, political, social, even creative power, it's just fundamentally tied to interacting with others.
Pulling away means you lose touch.
Exactly. You lose touch with the very things that sustain you, that give you information, that fuel your influence.
Okay, so nothing really paints a clearer picture of this danger than the story of Qin Shi Huangdi, first emperor of China.
Right. This guy unified an empire that was, bigger and more powerful than Alexander the Great's. An incredible force.
Described as having the voice of a jackal and the heart of a tiger or wolf. Brutal conqueror. Moved thousands of royals to his capital just to watch them.
Built parts of the Great Wall, standardized laws, language, but also incredibly paranoid. He outlawed Confucius, burned books, killed people for quoting banned texts.
The tons of fear, tons of enemies, which just fed into his paranoia.
Exactly. And as that paranoia grew, so did his isolation. In his later years, almost nobody saw him. His palace was this maze.
The one in Xinyang with the 270 pavilions.
That's the one. Connected by secret underground tunnels so he could move around completely unseen, slept in a different room every night if anyone accidentally saw him, beheaded.
Wow.
Even when he traveled, it was incognito. Total secrecy.
It's hard to even imagine someone that powerful living like a ghost. But how did that actually work out? In terms of his control over things, what did building that fortress actually do?
Yeah. Well, that's the devastating part. He slowly, completely lost control of his own realm from the inside. Eunuchs, ministers. They started running things without him even knowing, plotting against him. He became, emperor in name only, really.
So isolated he didn't see it coming.
Totally. So much so that when he died on a trip, they actually hid his death by trailing carts of salted fish behind his carriage to cover the smell of decay.
No way.
Yeah. And the suggestion is strong that he was poisoned by those very same ministers who had encouraged his isolation in the first place.
Because the isolation made him blind to the internal threats.
Precisely. It's a feedback loop. The paranoia causes the isolation makes you blind, which just makes you more vulnerable. It's a classic Blinkist insight there. The danger comes from within the walls.
That is, yeah, that's powerful. Makes me think of another story, maybe more literary, Prince Prospero.
Ah, yes. Poe's Mask of the Red Death.
Right. The plague, the Red Death, is sweeping the land. What does he do?
Retreats. Takes 1,000 healthy, happy friends into this secluded abbey, bolts the iron gates, welds them shut.
Throws away the key, basically.
Totally. Stocks it full of supplies, entertainment musicians, wine, everything. They figured, hey, the outside world can deal with itself. We're safe in here.
They genuinely thought they could just wall out death itself.
But as the story goes, chillingly, despite everything, the Red Death gets in.
In the form of that masked figure at the party.
Exactly. And it takes every single one of them.
And the horrifying thing is, the very walls they built to keep death out ended up trapping them in. No escape.
It's a perfect metaphor, and it's not just literature. Machiavelli actually makes a really similar point about military fortresses.
Oh, interesting. What did he say?
He warned that purely militarily, building a big fortress is often a huge mistake. It becomes the symbol of your power being isolated. It's actually an easy target.
Huh. Because everyone knows where you are.
Right. And while it's meant to defend you, it cuts you off from getting help. It limits your ability to move, to be flexible. If you get besieged, that fortress suddenly becomes a prison.
And probably not great for disease either, being cooped up like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He points that out too. They're breeding grounds for plague. It's the physical version of the same mental trap Prospero fell into.
Okay, so you have these stark examples of failure, Qin Shi Huangdi, Prospero. But then you contrast that with someone like Louis XIV at Versailles.
Yes, Louis XIV. Now, he came to power right after this awful civil war, the Fronde. The nobility were really pushing back against the crown.
So he could have easily gone the route of fear and isolation, too.
He could have, but he understood he needed to do the absolute opposite.
And Versailles, I mean, wow. Talk about the opposite of isolation. It was like Grand Central Station, right? Everything revolving around the king.
Literally, his bedroom was the physical center of the palace. And every morning, this ritual, the lever.
Waking up ceremony.
Yeah. Over 100 people, nobles, officials, family, guests, crammed into his bedroom just to watch him wake up and get dressed.
That sounds utterly exhausting. I can't even imagine.
It does sound exhausting, but it was completely by design. The whole palace, the whole system was built to channel all energy, all information through him.
He was always being watched, always being asked things.
Constantly. And even his smallest reactions, a simple "I shall see," carried huge weight. St. Simon wrote about it. If Louis just glanced at someone or said something minor, suddenly everyone was looking at that person. It gave them huge status.
So it wasn't just about being present. It was about using that presence, that proximity, as a tool.
He weaponized proximity, exactly. He knew a king's strength wasn't in being hidden away, but in being the absolute, undeniable, visible center of everything, the hub of information, of influence.
And here's the bit that really drives home the anti-fortress idea. Zero privacy.
Right.
Not even for him.
None. Every room led into another. Every hallway opened into bigger rooms where nobles were just hanging out constantly.
And he wanted them there. He insisted the high nobility live at court.
Yes. He observed everything, everyone, all the time, and he wanted them watching him too. If important nobles weren't around much, he took it personally. He was offended.
He needed eyes on him and his eyes on them.
Louis figured out very early on, for a king, isolation is just incredibly dangerous. Conspiracies start, resentments build up, rebellion happens before you even know it.
So his solution was structured sociability.
Perfectly put. Formally organized openness, channeling everything through him. And his 50-year reign was remarkably stable, peaceful for the time. You couldn't drop a pin at Versailles without him hearing about it.
That constant flow, that permeability.
Mm-hmm.
It's the total opposite of a fortress. And it wasn't just Louis, right?
Yes.
Other figures use this too.
Oh, yeah. Think about Themistocles, the Athenian general. Saved Athens, basically. How?
Yeah.
By mingling everywhere, knowing everyone, building this huge network. He could always balance enemies with allies because he was so connected. A social master.
Or Talleyrand, the French statesman.
Another great example. Aristocrat. But he made sure he knew what was happening on the streets. Apparently even hung out with, let's say, shady characters to get information.
Really? Why?
To stay ahead. It let him see trends coming, survive crisis after crisis, Napoleon's fall, Louis VIII's abdication. He never shut himself off. He adapted, connected with the new power, whoever it was. His survival depended on being socially plugged in.
It's about mastering what the sources call the social arts, isn't it?
Exactly. The more you're around people, the smoother, the more graceful you become. Isolation just makes you awkward, which makes you more isolated. It feeds itself.
And this isn't just politics or power plays, it hits creativity too. You mentioned a painter.
Yes, Jacopo da Pontormo, commissioned for these big frescoes in Florence. What does he do? Walls himself off.
Right.
For 11 years. Barely left, terrified someone would steal his ideas.
11 years. So did it lead to incredible focus, genius work?
Well, no. Not really. His isolation didn't bring clarity. It actually led to this profound loss of proportion. He couldn't see the bigger picture anymore. His work became, well, the sources describe it as a kind of extravagant ugliness that no longer communicates.
Wow. So being alone didn't help him dive deeper. It just made him lose his way.
It seems so. It shows that even creative work needs connection, needs perspective from the outside. Isolation can trap you, make you lose that sense of universal appeal.
That's fascinating. You contrast that with someone like Shakespeare.
Right, became maybe the most famous writer ever. How? By opening himself up, writing plays for the popular stage, engaging the masses, making his work accessible.
His art wasn't locked away. It thrived out in the world.
Exactly. Art that hides in a fortress, stays cornered, powerless. Even intellectual work needs that feedback, that connection.
Okay, so the message seems overwhelmingly clear. Isolation is dangerous. Build bridges, not walls. But is there ever a time when it's okay? You mentioned a temporary purpose.
Yes, the sources do offer one small but important caveat, reversal almost.
Which is,
Constant human contact, being on all the time, it's not great for deep, uninterrupted thought.
okay. Society's pressures, the distractions.
Right, the need to conform, the noise, the lack of distance. Sometimes you just can't think clearly in the middle of all that.
So pulling back temporarily can help you get perspective. Like you hear about thinkers having breakthroughs in prison where there's nothing else to do but think.
Precisely that. Machiavelli's the prime example here. He could only really write The Prince after he was exiled, stuck on a farm, away from the intense politics of Florence.
That forced distance gave him clarity.
It did. Allowed him to synthesize everything he'd seen and experienced.
But even then,
Yeah.
there's a big warning label attached, isn't there?
Oh, definitely. This kind of extreme isolation, even if temporary, can easily breed strange ideas, maybe even perverted ones. You might gain perspective on the big picture, but you can also lose sight of your own limitations, distort reality.
And it's hard to come back from.
Very. The sources warn it's like quicksand. The longer you're isolated, the harder it is to reconnect.
So the advice is, use it sparingly, if at all.
Use it as a last resort.
Hmm.
For genuine, deep thought, keep it short, carefully managed, and crucially, always keep your path back to society open. It's a tool, a temporary measure, not a way of life.
Okay, so wrapping this up, we've seen pretty clearly how building that fortress, physical or social, it just cuts you off, cuts off vital information, makes you an obvious target, and you can lose the very power you were trying to hoard.
Yeah, from emperors losing their empires to artists losing their vision, the danger seems undeniable, especially with prolonged isolation.
But then you have the flip side. Remember Versailles.
Right. Every room flowing into the next, Louis XIV right there in the middle, this constant stream of information, of influence passing through him.
That permeability, that social movement, floating between circles.
Yeah.
It makes you harder to pin down, keeps you informed.
It's about being permeable. Yeah, not impenetrable.
And yes, we acknowledge that tiny exception, that temporary, deliberate retreat, like Machiavelli needing exile to write The Prince.
But even then, we have to remember the warnings, the risk of distorted thinking, the difficulty of plugging back in. It's a really tricky balance.
Often, maybe, the risks just aren't worth it.
It often seems that way. So maybe something for you to think about as you go about your day. What kind of fortresses might you be building, maybe without even realizing it?
Yeah, in your job, your social life,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even how you approach your hobbies or creative stuff.
And by building those walls, retreating, what crucial information, what important connections, what different perspectives might you be missing out on?